Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ball Around the Head. Um, Andrew is currently on the road. He's focusing on the road though. He is safe. We're fine, and he'll be back home soon. But we had to start a little bit early. Some of us have something to do later, so
Nick
we're
is on
here.
the road.
Andrew's making it work. So yeah, we got the Lakers on the road. But without further ado, let's
Put the
get this
camera on.
started. First things first. Uh, the Nets finally played their first couple games with James Harden in their big three. And they just got a shout out to Kayla, my cousin. What's up? And they lost two straight to the Cavaliers. They beat the Bucks. I think Kyrie didn't play that game, did he?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't. So they beat the Bucks without Kyrie. Then Kyrie came back. They lost two straight to the Cavaliers. They beat the Heat last night. But it's been mixed results, basically, because the Cavaliers just got destroyed by the Celtics today. So their impressive loss, their loss isn't as good as it looked back then. So, Ben, I'm going to have to ask you, what are the strengths and weaknesses of this new looks Nets team?
Well, strengths are pretty obvious. You got three of the best talents we've seen on the same team. But the weaknesses, it's exactly as you predicted, Daniel. The defense, they're getting destroyed defensively, and on the glass as well. They're missing a lot of the
defense is getting destroyed defensively.
The
defense
perhaps,
is getting destroyed defensively.
Yeah, that's where the defense does get destroyed. So I mean, I don't feel like that required a correction. But it's correct. And
I just thought it sounded funny.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Andrew,
your answer?
Hello? Oh, I couldn't hear the question. Yeah. So basically, obviously the defense for the Nets is horrible. But I'll say one strength with James Harden is he's kind of taken a backseat when it comes to leading the offense. Obviously, with KD and Kyrie, they both dropped like 40 or like close to it at least. And James Harden is getting a lot of assists, just focusing more on driving the offense as a point guard and leaving it to Kyrie and KD to shoot. So that's kind of a strength because the Beard is not clutch.
That's a bold take right there.
How?
Do you want to elaborate on that?
He's literally how James Harden's not clutch at all?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I want to hear your explanation.
Okay, well, historically, the Rockets have never really been good in the playoffs. Looking at his career, he was good as a sixth man because he wasn't the prime, and they made it to the finals, or they made it to the conference finals. Made it to the finals against the Heat, but he wasn't the primary offensive player, obviously, with Kevin Durant. So he was just good at kind of being a role player and not the main scorer. And then when he got traded to the Rockets, because obviously the Thunder wanted to keep Serge Ibaka because he was a good for the team and he was a starter, not like James Harden. So then he went to the Rockets and they lost to Damian Lillard. Obviously, Steph Curry just literally just splashed all over the Beard, and they had a lead, 3-2 lead over the Warriors, and they literally lost. So they're trash. James Harden's trash.
I mean, to that point, I actually could understand that maybe one could argue that James Harden is just not the main player on a championship team. I think that's a very good argument. I don't know if he's not clutch, maybe because he didn't have quote unquote help and he tried to take over late in games and he was basically
the Rockets lost. Remember when the Rockets, Daniel, remember when the Rockets were 0-27 for 3?
But is that all on James Harden?
It's on James Harden though.
James Harden probably took more than half those shots. I mean, I haven't looked at it, but sorry.
All right. So my strengths and weaknesses for the Nets is basically what Ben said. I'm going to reiterate what I said last week. They have no defense, and it was shown a Cavs team that I just said got destroyed by Boston today. Just got whatever they wanted. Colin Sexton, I believe, scored 20 straight points in the overtime periods. and that's not acceptable. Colin Sexton's a very good player. I think he's the most underrated guard in the league. But still, like against that Cavs team, they're not really that good offensively, and they just got whatever they wanted. And Miami, who has been struggling this year, they got a lot of points too. Milwaukee, a bunch of them. They still have defense. Strength, offensively, they're almost impossible to stop because you got KD there, you got Kyrie there, you got Harden there. And as Andrew said, I've noticed this too. It's cool to see Harden's not like taking over. He's like wanting to be that playmaker. He's like, okay, I'll be the third wheel. You guys do you, and if you guys need me, I'll shoot. Like the first game, I believe, I want to say like not 20. He had like 15 shots. Kyrie had like 30. Kevin Durant had like 30 in the double overtime game, and like he had 21, like 9 assists, 4, something like that. And they lost, but it's good to see that he doesn't want to be the main offense like you saw in Houston. He knows it's not winning basketball. So I'm glad he's doing that. So yeah, but the major weakness definitely is their defense. It's a glaring weakness that they do need to fix.
And as time goes on, they're gonna figure it out more so. Oh, like this is their first week with those 3 guys together. They're going to need to fill out, who's going to be aggressive when. And I think Harden may have to, take more offensive responsibility at times and then less at other times. Because, you can say you're just going to follow the hot hand, but a lot of times, you want to be able to utilize all 3 of those guys. And a lot of times you're not on the same page as to who has the hot hand and stuff. So they're just going to have to feel that out over time.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, it's way too early to, like, just – because I see people obviously already overreacting saying, oh, this team is done, the super team, they're not even that good. They literally just started playing. They've had, I believe, 2 full games as a fully healthy squad with the big 3. Just relax. They'll get a groove. I'm not convinced yet that they're Eastern Conference.
Dude, please don't say the big 3.
I mean,
I have PTSD with the big 3.
What would you call them?
Yeah, that's an inside joke. No, I'm talking about how the waste of time that I did all day because I read the article wrong.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, but the Big 3 is a pretty cool league. I'm actually glad you did research on it. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is a cool league.
So, as I just said, I don't think the Nets are the favorites for the championship. And the reason why is I believe they're missing a few pieces. I'll detail that later. But Andrew, I'm going to ask you, are the Nets missing a piece?
Yeah, I actually do think the Nets are here. I just pulled up to the crib. I'm just going to chill in the car, though, for a minute. I actually do think the Nets are missing a piece. And I would say for the Nets to start winning, Charles Dar winning, they need to find the missing link. So, Ben, I know you thought that was a little good.
Ben is very impressed.
I think, they obviously need a defensive center because DeAndre Jordan is, like, really old. And I think Clint Capella, because he has experience with James Harden, and he literally got a triple-double with 10 blocks the other day. So, that would be – I don't know how the Nets would be able to get Clint Capella. I mean, maybe trading Kyrie. I mean, honestly. And I am a huge fan of Kyrie, but Clint Capella would actually be really good on that Nets team because of the experience of James Harden and the defensive presence that he has. And he looks like he's miserable in Atlanta. Like, I don't think he likes Trae Young. I don't blame him.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, you definitely could. They're missing a lot of the depth that they had before this trade, obviously, with LeVert, Jared Allen, and then Taurean Prince, and then Dinwiddie, who got hurt. They're missing a lot of that depth. I think, they're missing like maybe one more veteran, defensive focused player would be good for them, like an Iguodala on the Golden State teams, that kind of player. And there's still time before the trade deadline, before contract deadline, whatever you call that, for their roster to evolve. But I do think they could use another piece if they're serious about winning a championship.
Yeah, I have them as well. Just they need a big man, not DeAndre Jordan. He could start, but maybe like more defensive minded on the bench, and a wing defender that can actually defend. Now, to that point, I agree with Andrew. Clint Capella would probably be a perfect piece, but it will be nearly impossible for them to pull it off. They literally have no first-round picks until 2028, and they can't trade that for a while. The free agent market's their best luck, or the buyout market, like we mentioned earlier, because teams will probably want to go there. But a wing I just want to shout out that I think could help them is Amon Shumpert, who I'm surprised he's been unemployed for as long as he has. I think he's a very good defensive wing, not the best offensively, and I get he's past his prime, but I think he's definitely better than a lot of defensive options they have now. And for big man, there's a few out there that you could get. I don't know if it would help your chances this much, but yeah, they need to upgrade their big man and their wing depth to to have any chance to be an NBA Finals champion, or just make the NBA Finals, in my opinion. So I think we're gonna go to the next question. Make sure Andrew's still with us. I'll just ask you next, actually, Ben. So the other night, I'm gonna pull up this quote real quick. For some reason, Shaq has this big beef with NBA players, and I'm not sure why. He keeps on dissing a bunch of these current NBA players. And the latest victim was Donovan Mitchell after their win. I think against the Pelicans on Thursday, I believe. Shaq said, I said tonight that you're one of my favorite players, but you don't have what it takes to get to the next level. I said it on purpose because I wanted you to hear it. So, Ben, was Shaq right about Donovan Mitchell?
I don't think so. I think it's quite possible Mitchell doesn't make it to the next level and become, someone who can be the best player on the championship team. But I think he has what it takes. I mean, he has. We've seen in the playoffs that he shows up time and time again, and he steps up for them. We saw the battles he had with Jamal Murray last year, and he's only getting better. What was so weird about this was that it felt like Shaq was trying to have like a night, like even though he kind of dissed him, it felt like he was trying to set up to have like a nice moment with him where it was like, oh, all these haters, they motivated me. I'm going to do the same for you and you're going to get better. But then Mitchell was just like, all right.
Yeah, that awkwardness after he said that, Mitchell's like, okay.
It didn't land well. Just Shaq kind of missed the mark there. It was pretty funny.
You good? Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, Andrew?
Real quick, I had to go back inside the car. It's so cold outside. And also my phone was like lagging, but yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what Ben said, like the whole thing about Shaq trying to be a hater mentor, kind of what he did to Donovan Mitchell, because I think Shaq really does like Donovan Mitchell. So, honestly, I can't really say more than what Ben said. I agree with everything. And like Shaq isn't even that. No, he's pretty good. I can't be a hater on Shaq.
Well, do you think Mitchell
has what it takes? Well, like you mentioned, the battle with Jamal Murray. I mean, that's a good reference. But if you think about it, well, Jamal Murray did go past the Clippers. So, I mean, I don't think Donovan Mitchell would be able to do what Jamal Murray did. I was going to compare the two because they did go head-to-head 7 games. And I think that Jamal Murray is definitely a second star to Nikola Jokic. So I would argue that Donovan Mitchell would be a very good second star. I don't know if he has. I honestly agree. I feel like he can play that Kobe role with Rudy Gobert or Shaq. Oh, that's my horn. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like they're just kind of like the Walmart Shaq and Kobe. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert on the Jazz. So I agree.
Andrew, if you want, me and Ben can carry for the next I'll answer my question and we'll answer the first 2 next one, and then I don't if you can make it on your computer in time so you could go inside, or do you? Is
that it?
No, I'm all good. I can stay in.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm literally Lakers on the road. We're keeping it. That's why I've been keeping it throughout.
Okay, I respect that. All right, so I have a thing to say about this topic because I think Shaq's wrong. I think Donovan Mitchell is very capable of being the number one on his championship team. To that point, though, I don't think him and Gobert are going to win a championship. I don't think that's a good pair. I think we'll discuss this on another day, maybe, potentially, but I think Gobert is a little bit overrated. I was kind of on the side of Gobert is he's better than a lot of people think. And now I'm just like, is he like worth $200 million? I'm not sure.
No, honestly, because he's so unique. Nobody is as tall as him, and he's kind of athletic too. So I would argue that, but I'll just keep it short for now. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, there's actually was a conversation I did want to talk about later, so we'll do that in another stream. But anyways, I do think Donovan Mitchell could be the number one on a championship winning team. For his career, the lowest he's ever averaged was 20.5 points per game, and that was his rookie season. And that's really good. He should have won Rookie of the Year, to be honest with you. This year he's averaging 20. What?
Are you talking about Donovan Mitchell?
Are you sure you don't want to go inside? You're lagging pretty bad, bro.
Yes, stop talking.
Okay. So yeah, this year he's averaging 24.8 points per game. He's shooting 44% from the field, 40% from three, which is actually very good. I just think, and you saw last year, I think Andrew briefly mentioned the Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell matchup. Donovan Mitchell laid it out every single night in that series. He led that team to multiple victories, almost led them to that game 7. When they lost, you could see that picture that was all over the internet where he was on the floor, just exhausted. He was so upset that all of his work just was for nothing. I do think he is a championship number one. Will he be the championship number one? Probably not, given the way the Jazz are currently constructed. But I believe that he is very capable of being it. So,
and they're exceeding the expectations this year for sure.
Oh yeah, I think last year I had them very high. I thought they would be a very good team, and then they weren't because Mike Conley was horrible. But this year, they're like half a game out of first place in the West, 12-4. What?
Oh my God, no.
You're lacking bad, bro. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So next up, a team that's very popular and a lot of people don't know what to think of them yet. So we'll try our best. The Warriors, they would have this great win one night, and then they just got absolutely destroyed by the before mentioned Jazz. And they were not making a lot of shots. Kelly Oubre is like shooting horribly from the three this year, career worst, and that's just a whole mess right there. So, Andrew, are the Warriors exceeding expectations?
Yeah, I think we're exceeding expectations.
I think you need to go inside.
Andrew, I think you might need to go inside. We can't hear you anymore.
My God, that makes me a little bit upset. Okay, I'll go inside. All right, I'll be back.
All right. So I'm gonna ask Ben real quick. Andrew will be back for those. I think someone just joined in right now. So Andrew will be back. So Ben, are the Warriors exceeding your expectations?
No, they're not. Honestly, I mean, it's like you mentioned, they're not consistent at all right now. They go like it seems like so far that Curry needs to have an amazing night for them to win, because they're just not as deep as they were in the past. I mean, besides Klay Thompson, obviously that hurts, but if you look at, the Curry, Thompson, and Green team, even before they had Durant, that team was really deep, and they had a lot of really good shooters and nice pieces. This team has no shooters besides Curry. Oubre has shot terribly. Wiggins is so streaky, you can't rely on him. And Draymond Green's a good facilitator, but he's not someone who can get his own scoring.
By the way, on that just because you mentioned Draymond Green, that ejection for him the other night was so bad that, I mean, the NBA admitted that it was wrong and they took back the technical, but oh my goodness, that was the worst technical I've ever seen in my life. but I just need
I
to
didn't
get that.
actually see it.
You didn't see it?
No.
Basically, I think James Wiseman turned it over. He yelled at James Wiseman, and the ref kicked him out because the ref thought he was yelling at him.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's
and
terrible.
in the NBA, they said the ref came up to Steve Kerr after the game and said, "Oh, I'm sorry that we did that, but the law still holds. You lost a huge piece to James Wiseman's developmental. Like that's why he yells at him. He helps him out. There was that one game against the Lakers where he was mic'd up, and Draymond Green was giving James Wiseman some advice, which was very cool to see. I love when veterans like help out the little kids. But are you done with your thought, or did I interrupt? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm with you. My expectations, I think they're right on par. I didn't think there were to be a West powerhouse, but I didn't think they would be at the bottom of the West. Like some people actually believe they were like going to be like last year, and it could be like a Curry injury. They will be like that. But given the advanced statistics, yes, I'm actually extremely shocked. I mean, they have really exceeded their expectations as we welcome back Andrew. For the nerds out there who care about this stuff, they're 24th in offensive rating, 19th in defensive rating, 22nd in net rating. And I found this one astounding. They're 30th in the league in rebounding percentage. And that's horrible, especially for that kind of team. They need those rebounds, and they can't. And I want to shout out John Griffin in the chat. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. But yeah, so from my expectations, no, they're not exceeding it. But given the advanced statistics, they're doing a little better than they should be. So, Andrew, what do you have about this?
What was the question?
Are the Warriors exceeding expectations?
Oh yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so I think Steph Curry is performing really well, and James Wiseman has actually impressed me a lot when it comes to his development. Is that the word? Yeah, development. He's really in the beginning of the year, I was skeptical if he was going to be able to contend with other big men in the league, especially in the Western Conference. But he has done really well, especially with Draymond Green back. And Draymond Green is a really good person on the Warriors when it comes to leadership. Maybe not as good as playing because he is Draymond Beans. That's Ben is like what? Draymond Beans.
Reaction to that.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, that's all I have to say. Really, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and James Wiseman are impressed.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because there's something I want to talk about that. When Draymond Green was out and the Warriors were actually pretty bad, people are like, oh, Draymond Green, wait. And then they're like, does Draymond Green really make a difference? And maybe no on the statistical stat sheet, but on the court, he makes a huge difference. And you could see it in their wins and losses. They were not so good without him, and then he came back and they started doing a lot better. So Draymond Green is one of those players that like his impact not on the stat sheet is very important to the team's success. Like Charles Barkley likes to make fun of him getting a single triple, but he
the single triple always gets me.
But I'd love to have a veteran like him in the locker room if I was any team in the league.
Charles Barkley's just jealous of him, to be honest, because he can get rings.
Ooh,
honestly.
So next up, the season is actually already a month in, believe it or not. A month in a couple of days. And some results you can take with a grain of salt, and some results you're like, okay, this is what the team actually is. So I'm going to ask Andrew, in a good or bad way, which team has surprised you the most?
Honestly, in a good way, the 76ers, because they're number one in the East right now. Number one in the East. And I just think that I've never really been a fan of the 76ers because I didn't like Ben Simmons, but I'm a huge fan of Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid, seeing as my second fantasy team, I have Joel Embiid, a little secret team. I got little wagers going on the end. But I think, 76ers have just genuinely impressed me. Tobias Harris's development, and not development because he was already a developed player, but as far as his role on the team, because I feel like he's kind of above Ben Simmons, in some games, but it's because of the health and safety protocol. Everyone's been out. So yeah, the 76ers, they've really impressed me especially because people were gone for a couple of their games, and now they're first in the East.
Yeah, I like that. Ben, what you got?
Yeah, I have the Sixers as well in terms of on the positive side, who's surprised me. Joel Embiid is playing great. And yeah, like you mentioned, Andrew, a couple of their losses, they had like 7, 8 players, really just had no chance. So they might have the best record in the league if it wasn't for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like those choice. I found I think they're 9-1 at home, and their one loss was when they had literally 6 people active and they lost to the Nuggets. So basically they're 9-0 at home, and they're dominating. Joel Embiid's making a very strong case for MVP. Tobias Harris is now playing in a role he's comfortable with Doc. Unlike they were saying Brett Brown made him made him uncomfortable in the system, made him dribble too much. Shake Milton's playing great for them. I just know this because I literally just saw them destroy my Celtics in 2 straight games. Ben Simmons, as Andrew mentioned, took a little step back in the offensive power rankings for the Sixers. But the other night he took over against the Celtics. He's still one of the best defenders in the league. So it's a good piece there. Maybe his confidence got hit a little bit with the trade rumors, and you could see it in his play a little bit. But he's still very solid on the defensive end. So I like that pick from both of you guys, Sixers. I'm going to go with a different one. I'm going to go with the Spurs. I was a person who believed the Spurs era of competence was over. I thought they'd be a for sure lottery team, and they still could be. But as of right now, they're 9-8. I'm going to say they're 6 in the conference. They just beat the Wizards are not doing so hot themselves, but they beat the Wizards by a lot tonight. And one person I want to shout out on that team, which a bunch of casuals may not know who he is Keldon Johnson, the rookie last year, but he finally getting some playing time last year. Last year, he played in 17 games. He played in 17 games to this day after today's game. Entering today, though, he's averaging 14 points compared to 9 last year. His shooting percentages are down, but he's still playing really good. LaMarcus Aldridge, it looks like he's nearing the end of his career.
Yeah. Well, no, he's performing pretty good, though. I almost picked him up today, honestly.
For Aldridge's standards, it's pretty low. He's averaging 14 points per game, and he normally is a
that's fair for his standards.
But yeah, you're right. He's decent. And the Spurs I saw have 7 players averaging double figures, which is very cool. 8 players averaging 9 or more. So that's a team. I mean, it's Greg Popovich, the best coach, arguably the best coach of all time. So you're going to get a good team. And I've stopped doubting the Spurs now. I think they're a good team. And until they show that they're a horrible team, I'm going to continue to think they're a good team. So that's the team that surprised me the most.
You can never count them out.
Never.
Aren't they 10th in the conference right now?
I believe they're 6th.
The Spurs?
But to be fair, I think, between 10th and 6th, it's literally half a game. So it switches every single day. It's just the West. It's going to be like that all year long. It's just when you win one, you go up, and then you lose one, you go all the way down. You just can't lose. So we're going to end today's show on an interesting topic, in my opinion. The Rookie of the Year race. It like I said, we're a month in, so you could start to get a good feel of who's the finalists and whatnot. So Ben, I'm going to ask you, who's the Rookie of the Year?
It's a really tight race right now. Nobody's really climbed ahead. Nobody's really been on a good winning team. None of the big rookies are on a team that's really high up in the standings. I'm going to go with LaMelo Ball. He's actually the shooting percentages are not great, but we kind of expected that going into the year. He's leading rookies in rebounds, assists, and steals right now. And the Hornets, they're not terrible. 7-9 right now. Gordon Hayward just hit a big game winner today. And so, but yeah, I think it's a really close field. I would not call it at this point by any means. I think it's a wide open race. But yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, I kind of want to think of some finalists. I think Anthony Edwards has performed pretty well. I think LaMelo has performed pretty well. I think James Wiseman would probably be my pick, to be honest. They're really low in the conference actually, so maybe not. I would probably agree with LaMelo actually, just because the Hornets have just went from nothing in the West to, or the East to contention in the playoff, and it's scary kind of dark horse in the East. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with LaMelo as well, because I love the Ball brothers, to be honest, because they're like the Hall brothers, just they're ballers. I respect them.
Shout out real quick to my dad in the chat. I see that we finally gave your Sixers credit, and Matthew Davidson brought up a good point. Tyrese Halliburton was a guy that on draft night on our stream, I was shocked. I think all of us were shocked that he fell that far, and he's proven that he probably shouldn't have fell that far. The Knicks arguably should have taken him over Obi Toppin. It's a little early to say that, but he's looked like a real steal. So yeah, if I were a voter, my top three would be Wiseman, Halliburton, and LaMelo. And I'm going to give the slight edge to LaMelo now. It's interesting because of the topics, the comments his coach made the other day of, if you're going to turn the ball over on my team, you're not going to be playing. And like LeVar obviously didn't like that. And he's like, all my boys are not role players. They're star players.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the coach is going to coach you as he's well pleased as long as you're a rookie at least. But yeah, Wiseman's this close. Still need a little more out of him. Like, I'm not really convinced that it's him, but I think it's like this close to the race between LaMelo. But I have to give the edge to LaMelo. He's just playing phenomenal. He's got triple doubles. Like Ben said, he's not shooting like as good as like he would like to, but that's kind of who LaMelo is. Turnovers are a bad problem, but I think right now he's the rookie of the year favorite. What were you going to say?
Also, wait, Cole Anthony? He literally hit a game winner the other day. I saw it on Roger's Kindle. Or like I saw it on something, like it was just there, and I'm like, okay.
Watch the game on a Kindle.
I don't know, but it probably wasn't a Kindle. Anyways, I think Cole Anthony. I was a big fan of him because he reminds me of Cole Anthony. There's like another Cole Bennett. He did like a Juice WRLD music video or something. So yeah, basically Cole Anthony is a pretty cool player. He's for the Magic. He has a nice number. The white and gold Magic jersey with the 50 Cole Anthony, I might have to get. I'm saying it's a great jersey.
Yeah, that Cole Anthony buzzer beater was actually pretty cool. It was cool seeing his dad's reaction too. So that was just a cool moment. Like,
I didn't even know his dad was there.
No, he was in the studio. But do you know who his dad is?
No.
Do you know who Greg Anthony is?
No.
Oh, well, he used to be a basketball player. He's a commentator or an analyst right now but it was cool. They had his reaction. But yeah, so this rookie class is a little better than a lot of people thought. So it'd be cool to see what happens. But again, we're only 1 month into this, so can't read too much into it. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for your support in the comment sections and support on the podcast if you're listening to on the podcast. If you're not already,
stream today, little unique stream we got going.
A very unique stream, probably one of our most classic streams so far. But we made it work. We'll be back next Sunday at 8 again to discuss more NBA. If you're listening to us a podcast, like this podcast, give it a review while you're at it. It would mean a lot to us. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like and subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, smash it.
Dunk that like button like AD.
So thank you, John, for the comment. It was a great stream. I very much enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Lakers back to back on the road.